everybody, and welcome to another episode of All Things Considered Franchising, powered by Scotty Milas, franchisecoach.com. I am your host, Scotty Milas. I am the founder of All Things Considered Franchising, a podcast dedicated to the franchise space, entrepreneurship. We talk about business ownership, different types of brands. We stay focused on the franchising industry, but occasionally step outside into independence and people associated with the industry. Scotty Milas, franchisecoach.com is a consulting organization I started many years ago that helps people research and explore business ownership, helping you develop a roadmap business model, and then introducing you to opportunities that potentially fit in the franchising space, and then I'm helping you through the validation process, ultimately to get to a decision one way or the other. A great guest today, somebody who's really kind of cemented his place in franchising and is kind of one of those just guys that, you just want to hang out with. I mean, and pick his brain. And that's Doug Smith. Doug is Senior Vice President of Franchise Development for the BELFOR Franchise Group, which is an organization that's affiliated and ownership of home service type brands. So, Doug, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Scotty. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you and I were chatting, kind of warming up to before we hit the live button here, record button. You came out of the restaurant industry, working for franchisors, I imagine on the operational side, managing, helping multi-unit owners, kind of put their management together to run the stores, and then switched into financials, the financial industry, and then, of course, got back into it now with BELFOR Group. Franchising has kind of had a weave up and down now. It's, it's still a great place to start to go to become an entrepreneur, but maybe share a few things with the audience before we dive into the BELFOR Group list of brands, and tell us a little bit about your experience in franchising and thoughts about the industry.
Sure. I think we talked a little bit earlier, right? And I did start my career in the restaurant business and worked for several franchises, so saw what that was like from that side of things. Some of the goods and the bads, obviously. Restaurants come with a lot of both, so got a lot of experience there. Yep. Jumped into financial services, tried that for a while, several years, but then found my way back to franchising from the franchisor side of things. When I first got out of college and got in the restaurant business, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to own my own restaurant. And that kind of cemented that. I'd done that kind of right in high school, the way most kids do, right? Mowing lawns and, right. Grew up in New York. So there was, leaves to be raked and snow to be shoveled and, things like that. So you kind of got a taste of that. Thought I wanted to own my own restaurant. Learned a lot about the restaurant business in the 13 years I was in it. And, things I both liked and didn't like. And, so I kind of got it back into franchising with the goal of helping other people become entrepreneurs, because I always liked that kind of track. But I really get a kick out of, bringing people along. I'm sure much like you do in your consultations, right? Bringing people along and finding something when they're tired of working for a large corporation, or they've been laid off, or it's just a different stage of their life, or they're looking for more work-life balance, whatever it is. We really enjoy bringing those people along, and we think home services in particular here at BELFOR Franchise Group is a pretty popular and pretty exciting way to do that.
It's interesting. You touched on a couple of things there that's quite interesting, because home services has really climbed the ladder in interest as business ownership, especially from the early stages of the pandemic. Coming out of the pandemic, and it's remained a very, very lucrative, rewarding, and for people, rewarding opportunity for people that are looking to kind of exit corporate America and looking for something that's scalable to get to the potential of earning, having a good earnings potential. BELFOR Group represents some great opportunities in that category that I want to talk about. But one of my favorite that's in your portfolio, just to start out, is Redbox. And I kind of remember this brand when it started out. It really took off. If I remember correctly, the story of Redbox was it was almost created or thought of on an airplane by the owner. diagramming. So maybe
Sketching on a cocktail napkin.
yeah. So, talk about Redbox, some of the other brands, just kind of give us a brief overview and your thoughts on the home services and, what separates BELFOR from some of the other organizations that manage home service opportunities.
Sure, that's about 12 questions in one. So you can cut me off anytime you want. So
yeah, just take it piece by piece, as they say. Right.
But Redbox Plus Dumpster, BELFOR Franchise Group, they acquired them. We acquired them back in 2021, excuse me. And it was a concept that was kind of sketched out with a couple of guys and got that started, and it grew pretty quickly. Today, we've got close to 100 franchisees and over 300 franchises all across the nation. So that's a pretty exciting brand. It's one of our brands that's interesting and different from some of the other ones in the fact that it's very asset heavy. Trucks, dumpsters, things like that, obviously, but very light labor requirement. So some of our brands like that seem to be, really popular right now because I think we all hear about the labor shortages and kind of what's going on today with that. And when you have things like a restaurant or something that requires, 30, 40, 50, 100 employees, it gets pretty challenging in this day and age.
Yes, it does.
Got a wage concerns, et cetera. So some of the franchises like Redbox Plus Dumpsters and one of our latest ones, COOL-BINZ, another similar concept. It's a climate controlled mobile storage concept. Again, you've got these climate controlled storage bins and trucks, but very, very light labor required. This one actually requires even less labor than our Redbox Plus concept. So, so that's pretty attractive to people in today's climate as well. But we've got 13 brands in the BELFOR Franchise Group family. Some as old as 46, 47 years old, like ChemDry Carpet and Upholstery Cleaning, and some like COOL-BINZ and our new pest control company, which is Safer Home Services. They are literally, we've been franchising now for just a couple of months. So and we've got them everywhere in between.
What are you seeing as the reception from prospects, clients that you're meeting and interviewing and going through the process? Because emerging brands seems to be very on the heavy side these days. There are a lot of companies that are now utilizing franchising to expand their businesses instead of using franchising as a way to expand their businesses versus being an independent. But what are you seeing as far as the level of interest, the types of person that are getting into these emerging brands? I mean, is there anything in particular that catches your attention on the character or MO, I should say, of the potential investors?
It does actually. Having these brand new brands from startup, lets you see what type of people are interested in those. Typically not first time entrepreneurs necessarily, a few, but a lot of them are coming from having other businesses either in the past or may own 6, 7 different businesses right now. So we just had a new franchisee down in Georgia who I think we are his 7th business in his portfolio of businesses. Talking to a new candidate for COOL-BINZ right now, and he has 3 or 4 businesses with a couple of partners out in Arizona. So especially when they're the investment's a little bit larger, these seem to be seasoned entrepreneurs that are just looking. They're not looking to replace a salary, right? They're looking for investment, right? They're looking at things that are a 5, 10, 15-year horizon. They're looking to build equity and have an exit at some point in time. So that's more the type of people we see coming in with these larger investment opportunities. And then sometimes on the smaller ones, right? Obviously, you don't need as much to get started. So that provides opportunity for maybe somebody a little bit different. You mentioned kind of new startups. The unique thing about BELFOR Franchise Group is you can come and get involved with like a COOL-BINZ that's brand spanking new, but you've got the backing of 46, 47 years and 12 other brands and 200 people in our franchise group, right, that are there to support you. It's not like, you're brand new with 3 or 4 employees. You've got large training departments and coaching departments and finance and accounting, right, and onboarding. So you've got equipment purchasing. You've got all these different departments that are already in place, for our 3,000 to 4,000 franchisees already in our system. So you can get the benefits of a brand new startup, but with all that backing and all that experience already in place. So that's kind of, I think, how we're a little bit maybe unique.
So in essence, and we're talking to Doug Smith, Senior Vice President of Franchise Development for the BELFOR Group. It's Is it safe to say then if somebody is coming into the BELFOR system, whether it's a COOL-BINZ or one of the other brands making an investment, that they're going to get the full gamut of support? So it doesn't sound like a lot of your brands require brick and mortar, but they're still going to require territory assessment. They're going to require the marketing efforts. They're going to require the sales support in some ways, the marketing, so operational support. So is it safe to say that somebody coming in, somebody who maybe doesn't have business experience, ownership business experience, is going to be comfortable to know that the BELFOR Group is going to support them from A to Z?
It's not only safe, it's a fact. I mean, that's exactly what we do, right?
That's what we want to hear. That's what we want to
that's
hear.
exactly what we do. Matter of fact, all 13 of our brands, for example, you mentioned marketing, right? When you buy the initial package, right, from us, not only does it include equipment and vans and things like that, it also includes the first 4 to 6 months of marketing already built into that package. So you've already actually prepaid for a lot of that marketing that our marketing team then implements with you. I mean, obviously everybody gets a website and sets up, SEO and pay-per-click campaigns, things like that. But they go on and, they're getting all your, reviews set up, not in addition to your site. So they're getting all your digital marketing, all your grand openings, whatever it is, it's all packaged up, kind of prepaid for. So you have every incentive, right, to work with us to make sure that gets implemented in the right way. And then, we kind of transition that. We still support it, but it's kind of transitioned to you, after that first 4 to 6 months when we feel you're comfortable along those lines. But everybody gets that automatically so that you don't have a choice to decide in month 2, I don't want to spend this on marketing, or I want to do it a little bit different way. We've got proven systems in place, and we want you to engage with those systems, right, for the best chance of success. And that applies for whether it's national accounts or sales training, the onboarding, working with the different systems. All that is going to be covered. And then that's ongoing, obviously, with your business coaches.
So when you look at your model, when you look at the companies that are in the BELFOR portfolio of brands, mostly service-based businesses, let's talk about the characteristics of the type of investor that you're seeing, the owner that wants to come in and that's looking at these brands. Are we looking at people that have seasoned management experience, know how to manage, not necessarily someone who absolutely loves to get their hands dirty, so to speak, but has some type of a service understanding, networking, being able to present B2B, B2C scenarios? I mean, give us a little overview of the type of person that you're seeing that's coming into the BELFOR Group, and leave out the financial part for a second, but just kind of the characteristics, experiences that you're seeing that are coming into the brands that you represent and own.
Yeah, I think, a lot of them have management experience, depending on the concept, that can be handy depending on your labor requirements and so forth. But, one of the things we look for in our conversations are people with, I'll say, sales and marketing backgrounds, maybe not necessarily entrepreneurs all the time. That doesn't mean, and I don't mean to mean you had to come from a defined sales and marketing role, right? You kind of mentioned it. We're home services. So these people are in people's homes every day, right? They don't necessarily have to be on the truck, right? But somebody's going to go out and sell the product, right? Somebody's going to have to go to B&I groups, right? Somebody's going to have to go to chambers of commerce. Somebody's going to have to get the business up and running. People have to know who you are. So it's got to be somebody that's comfortable, talking to people, interacting with people. You don't have to be a huge extrovert. I tend to be, but my wife's an introvert and she's done very well at some of these things over the years. So it doesn't have to be,
right.
a big extrovert, but it's people who are just comfortable talking to people. People you probably want to have on your podcast, right? Not a shrinking violet, right? You want people that are going to, enjoy having a conversation. We look for that in the process. So not necessarily the answers to the questions, but, are you answering? How are you answering? So I say sales and marketing, but that's kind of loose. You got to be able to talk to people and relate to people.
Yeah, it's funny. At ScottMilasFranchiseCoach.com, this is one of the avenues that we go down when we're talking to our clients is that the sales aptitude. And when we say sales aptitude, we're not talking about, kind of being that Willy Loman where you're carrying your briefcase and knocking on doors or dialing for dollars with your Rolodex cards. I mean, I'm really dating myself here, but it's the ability to network and let people know that you own a business and make a presentation. and kind of say, okay, great. Would you like to move forward? That, I mean, it's a little different than it was 25, 30 years ago. So it's with the help of social media, a lot of the marketing is, marketing. When you look at the level of executive that's coming in, or the level of person that's coming in investing, are we seeing senior level corporate executives? Are we seeing VP levels? Are we seeing directors? Is there a kind of a category that you're seeing most of the people, or level of experience that they're at, titles, so to speak?
I'd say it's a little specific to brand, but if you start at the kind of higher investment levels, one of two buckets, right? I mentioned entrepreneurs, right? It's kind of serial entrepreneurs, right. Those types of people. If they're not entrepreneurs, if they're W-2 folks, we do see a very senior level. So we've got people involved in our redbox plus dumpsters that you might never imagine, right? We have financial advisors that are doing that. We have people who came from companies like Deloitte and Ernst & Young at a pretty senior level doing that. So we've got several computer engineering, IT type of people that are doing redbox plus dumpster. So, you wouldn't think, you're like, dumpster rentals. I would say, our most successful people and a good chunk of them came from very white collar kind of senior level. Senior level positions to do that. Now, part of that is the investment level, of course, but it's just something about, again, looking for a recession resistant business. A lot of home services are, right? They're looking for things that they can build equity in, again, looking for an exit, maybe at 10, 15, 20 years down the road, some type of legacy business. So, when you think about, some of the businesses that we do, we do a lot in the restoration space. You can't get a lot more recession resistant than the restoration space, right? I mean, that's going to happen whether you like it or not. There's going to be water and fire damages, smoke damages, right? That's just going to happen regardless of what the economy's doing. So some of our brands, like 1-800 water damage and our Blue Kangaroo pack outs, things like that, even our ducts vent cleaning, those are all things that have to happen, whether we're in a recession or what have you, right? That's still going to happen. So so people are looking for those types of things to be able to weather any storm.
Yeah,
no pun intended.
I need more than a want.
Talk
to me about COOL-BINZ. I think this is a cool new opportunity. Storage opportunities have always been unique in the sense that it's a need, not a want, but it's also fits into that upscale investment level, but as we all know, higher the investment, higher the return typically. Talk to me about COOL-BINZ. It's a new brand. It's just getting launched. Tell me a little about it, what they're doing, and tell our audience to share some information.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept. Again, no pun intended. I'm just killing myself with all these, but you can do a lot with that. So COOL-BINZ, it is climate controlled mobile storage. So there's obviously other folks out there, that sling mobile storage, right? Portable storage. It's not a brand new concept. Our founders actually live down in Naples, Florida, and they had an event at their house where they had to store their furniture and all their belongings in order to repair and restore the home. They did that, and they put it into one of these bins with another company, one where they take it away and put it in a quote-unquote climate-controlled warehouse. And they came back just about 3 weeks later to get some things out that they needed, and they opened it up, and it was just full of mold and mildew, and the furniture was cracking, the artwork was growing fuzzy things. Most of their stuff was completely ruined. And they came from kind of a manufacturing R&D background and said, this doesn't work for us. There has to be a better way. And so that started the research and development and what became COOL-BINZ. So there's a whole variety of bins we offer people. So COOL-BINZ, which are climate controlled, they're going to hold your temperature. They're going to get rid of the humidity. We've got bins that are also refrigerated bins for things like, breweries and restaurants or things that happen, right? Your walk-in cooler goes down. We've got freezer bins for the same reason. We've got mobile offices out there as well. So and we have non-climate controlled bins if you're just looking to store, tools or whatever it is that don't need to be, air conditioned. So we've got a whole suite of services and types of bins. Great test market. Obviously, we have a corporate store down in Florida, so it's been a great test market, and they've been offering them themselves out of what's our corporate location since 2017. So we've got several years of experience and learnings behind it, and they just can't keep them in stock.
So these are portable bins. I mean, they travel.
They travel, and they can be left right on site. Right, if you need one today, store something in your home, they could leave it right in your driveway, or you can load it up, and we'll take it back to our lot. Unlike a lot of the companies, you don't need a warehouse because they're actually climate controlled, right? So you don't need to put them into a warehouse. They can actually be stored on a lot. All of our bins are 110. You just plug it into a normal outlet. So if you go and you see a lot of other people who have mobile offices, especially freezers, refrigerators, they're going to require 220 or to be hardwired even on site. None of that with any of our bins. They're all just plug and play. So
interesting. And they're rentals, correct? I mean, so somebody
they are rentals, yeah.
Somebody is rental them either a month, 2 months, a week, 2 weeks, whatever. Or
we see the average rental across our corporate location is about 9.5 months. So we've got bins that have we've got bins been out there for 2-3 years, and we get shorter times, but the average is about 9.5 months.
Wow,
that we see as rental.
Wow, and is the need more commercial or residential?
It's actually probably, if I had to put it, probably 65% commercial and the rest residential. We just mentioned some examples of what would be residential. But again, they've got them on site for long term for some of the airports around that ran out of storage for all their some of their food, the candies and all that kind of stuff, bottles of water. They need extra storage space, so they've got them on site long term. They've got florists that are using them. They've got obviously a lot of contractors will use those as well as the mobile offices. They're one of the things we like at BELFOR Franchise Group is the synergies between a lot of our different companies. So our COOL-BINZ location in Florida right now has about 10 or 12 bins out to rent to our local Blue Kangaroo Packouts, our contents and restoration company, who doesn't have enough space. So he's actually renting bins from our COOL-BINZ location to store the property he's trying to while he's packing out and repairing the contents. So a lot of the brands we bring on do that very thing, right? We have a network of very synergistic types of brands that can refer business to each other.
Wow. Well, Doug, we appreciate you taking some time. We've been talking to Doug Smith, who is Senior VP of Franchise Development for BELFOR Franchise Group, and that's BELFOR Group. Just if anybody wanted to do some research and look them up. Doug, any closing comments? Anything else you want to say about the brands that you represent and own and help people get started in? I mean, anything else you want to share before we close out?
Well, I'd like to say, the one thing I think is different from BELFOR Franchise Group is we're actually owned by BELFOR Property Restoration, which is the world's largest property restoration company. So we're owned by an operating company. We're owned by a company that has nearly 11,000 employees across 35 countries, right? So they have 150 offices just here in the U.S. So not only is there a chance, for some referral business from the mothership, if you will, but they are in the ditches every day, right? They're in the restoration space. It can be an ugly space, right? As far as, what the type of business they do, but they're an operating company. So they know what it takes. They know what our franchisees are seeing on a day-to-day basis, right? It's not just investment, but they operate every day. They get their hands dirty and they know what it takes to run a business. And I think that separates us from a lot of other companies out there.
Right. We've been talking to Doug Smith, Senior Vice President of Franchise Development, as I mentioned, from the BELFOR Franchise Group. That's BELFOR Group. You can reach out to Doug on LinkedIn. He's there, DOUG, and Smith, SMITH. Again, Senior Vice President of Franchise Development. Message him if you need some more information on the awesome service brands that they have in their portfolio. I'm your host, Scotty Milas of All Things Considered Franchising. You can check out all of our podcasts on allthingsconsideredfranchising.com and, of course, Spotify, Apple, and all the rest of the, just podcast channels. The services consultant part of the organization, Scott Milas, franchisecoach.com. Visit the website. Message me if you'd like to get started and learn more about business ownership. the services and education and guidance that I represent to my clients and offer my clients at no cost is based on experience, and there's no commitment in regards to investing in a business. It's all education. So, Doug, thanks for having us. We hope to get you back on in the next 6 months just to get an update, and we appreciate your time.
Oh, really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today, Scotty.
All right, thanks.